Ladies and gentlemen, geopolitics shapes the world's most significant decisions, and nowhere is this more evident than in America's open support for Pakistan against India. It's not about emotions, personal feelings, or one-off friendships. It's about strategy, power, and the intricate balance of influence across entire regions. Every nation, especially one as powerful as the United States, looks at the world as a giant chessboard, moving pieces carefully so that they can maintain their place at the top. Understanding this is key to unlocking the truth behind America's decisions. When you look closely, you see that the roots go deep. America is driven by its need to counterbalance major players in Asia and to ensure that no single nation becomes too dominant in an area that is strategically vital to its interests. Pakistan, as a country located at a critical geopolitical junction bordered by Afghanistan, Iran, India, and China, provides the U.S. with leverage. This is the kind of leverage that allows America to exert pressure, manage security challenges, and establish footholds in a region full of complexities. Supporting Pakistan is not a sign of disrespect toward India. It's simply a calculated move in a game that America believes will help secure its long-term global ambitions, and India, rising in power and influence, cannot be ignored. India's growth in trade, economy, and international reputation has already shifted the global order. America knows this, and that's precisely why they need to make sure they have options. Balancing relationships with Pakistan keeps America at the center of regional talks and ensures that it never loses its voice in South Asia. Even as India strengthens its own bonds across the world, America is cautious. To stay in control, it must support all sides just enough to keep them dependent and engaged. That's the raw reality of geopolitics. Decisions that look surprising on the surface make perfect sense when viewed through the lens of power. America is not choosing Pakistan over India as a friend, it is choosing its interests. Every nation looks after its own ambitions first, especially superpowers, and America is making sure it never has all its eggs in one basket. By balancing its support between India and Pakistan, the U.S. retains flexibility, options, and influence, and we cannot overlook the historical context. Pakistan and America have had deep military ties for decades, often built on their shared goals during major conflicts like the Cold War and the fight against terrorism. Even as times change, some alliances persist because they serve these long-standing geopolitical goals. It's not personal, it's practical. That's why, even in the face of India's rapid progress and stable democracy, America still supports Pakistan. It knows Pakistan will always need them in a way India will not. This geopolitical game is also powered by America's fear of losing relevance as other global giants rise. China is rapidly expanding its influence across Asia and Africa, and America must counter this carefully. Pakistan's close relationship with China is no secret, so America uses its support as a strategic counterbalance. This careful maneuvering is driven by one thing: the preservation of America's influence. Even if it complicates its relations with India, America will do what it must to hold its position as the most powerful player on the world stage. And this is why, if you truly understand the language of geopolitics, you'll see that America's decisions are never just about one nation. They are part of a much larger pattern, one where alliances shift like shadows and decisions come from a desire to control the future. Knowing this empowers you to look past the noise and recognize that this is not about right or wrong, but strategy, foresight, and strength. America will support Pakistan because it fits into its plan, just as India will rise, fueled by its own ambitions, and America will adjust again when that day comes. That is the unchanging truth of geopolitics. Diplomacy is an intricate and powerful tool, especially when we examine why America appears to support Pakistan against India. What we're seeing on the global stage is a delicate dance, a careful practice of balancing interests, maintaining influence, and preserving long-term relationships. America's diplomacy toward South Asia is never accidental. It is calculated, deliberate, and driven by deep, seated goals that transcend short-term optics. Understanding this allows us to appreciate what's really going on under the surface. When a superpower like America acts, it rarely does so impulsively. Diplomatic decisions, especially public ones like supporting Pakistan in complex regional matters, grow out of long, often hidden discussions. Behind closed doors, diplomats weigh every outcome. What benefits will America gain? How can they keep their influence intact? What tools do they have to make sure that all parties stay close and reliant? Supporting Pakistan gives America leverage. It allows them to stay involved in a region that is becoming more important to global stability and trade. Pakistan's strategic position at the crossroads of South and Central Asia means that America cannot afford to ignore its partnership. Diplomacy is also about keeping options open. Even as India grows into a global power with its strong economy and rising international voice, America must ensure that it keeps its foothold with all players in the region. Openly supporting Pakistan is not necessarily America turning its back on India. Instead, it is America practicing what every great nation does, hedging its bets. Balancing its diplomatic engagements keeps America flexible and better equipped to respond to rapid changes in the region's political landscape. This is one of the most important and often misunderstood goals of diplomacy: to ensure that a superpower is never cornered into choosing one path forever. And diplomacy is rarely public in its most critical forms. The most vital conversations between leaders, diplomats, and policymakers happen in private rooms, where America reassures India of its importance even as it bolsters Pakistan as a counterweight. This duality is part of America's diplomatic craft, working multiple angles simultaneously to maintain influence and protect its long-term interests. Even when one decision looks like a slight against India, America often pursues other diplomatic tracks to offset the damage. Treaties, trade agreements, defense partnerships, all of these are tools to keep India close and invested. But there is more to diplomacy than strategy alone. It's also a skill built on empathy and patience. America knows that public moves like supporting Pakistan will provoke questions and even resentment. Skilled diplomats recognize this and plan for it, using their channels of communication to manage the fallout. They reach out to India privately, explain the reasoning, and smooth the rough edges, all while making sure Pakistan feels assured of America's commitment. This is the subtle balance that defines great diplomacy. And America's diplomatic calculus doesn't stop at Pakistan or India. It's also looking at China's influence in the region, Russia's ambitions, and the rise of multilateral organizations that could shift power away from the West. Supporting Pakistan is one part of America's larger diplomatic strategy, a piece in a broader puzzle that ensures America retains its role as the most influential power broker in the world. That's why America continues to practice careful diplomacy, leaning into support where it suits its goals and stepping back when it must preserve its neutrality. In the end, diplomacy is about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to wait. It's about keeping your hands on all the levers at once so that, no matter what happens, you remain a force that everyone must reckon with. That's the unspoken truth beneath America's public positions and why its diplomatic decisions will continue to surprise those who look only at the surface. Alliances play a pivotal role in shaping the decisions of powerful nations like America, especially when it comes to supporting one country over another in a complex regional struggle. Throughout history, America has relied on alliances as a cornerstone of its foreign policy. These alliances are never random. They are born from deep strategic interests, long-term goals, and a careful assessment of the geopolitical landscape. America's alliance with Pakistan is a perfect example of this calculated, long-view thinking. Even though India is an emerging power and an important partner to America, the historic alliance with Pakistan cannot simply be overlooked. It is built on decades of cooperation in security, intelligence, and counterterrorism, making it too significant for America to simply set aside. At its heart, an alliance is a partnership built on mutual interests. America views Pakistan as a key player in ensuring stability across South and Central Asia. Even as India rises economically and militarily, America cannot afford to alienate Pakistan entirely. This is especially true when it looks at its most strategic challenges in the region: countering extremism, maintaining access to critical military routes, and balancing the growing influence of other superpowers like China and Russia. The United States understands that if it pushes Pakistan away entirely, it could drive Pakistan deeper into the orbit of those rival powers. This would shift the balance of power in ways that America cannot control. Alliances, then, become a stabilizing factor, a way to preserve America's influence even as regional dynamics shift. And this is not only about military interests. Alliances often offer America a seat at the table on the diplomatic and economic front as well. Supporting Pakistan at key moments allows America to maintain a strong voice in regional affairs. Even when India is displeased with this support, America calculates that its long-term alliance with Pakistan gives it the leverage to facilitate dialogue and influence decisions across the region. Alliances offer America options. It allows America to pivot between different partners depending on the issue at hand so that it's never too far removed from the action. It is this flexibility that keeps America engaged with all sides, making sure its interests are protected regardless of who holds power at any given moment. America also knows that alliances must be continuously nurtured to stay strong. Even as the world changes, a trusted ally is someone you cannot simply put on the back burner. Supporting Pakistan now is also a signal to other American allies around the world that America stays loyal to its commitments. Nations that choose to align themselves with America need to see that America will stand by them when it matters most. Alliances require trust and consistency, even when those decisions may seem controversial in the short term. The message America sends with this kind of support is one of steadfastness, a signal that alliances truly mean something. That is the enduring power of alliances. They go beyond one issue or one public controversy. They are carefully cultivated relationships built on shared interests, mutual security, and decades of cooperation. America understands that by honoring its alliances, whether they involve Pakistan, India, or any other nation, it keeps its leadership role on the global stage intact. This is not a short-term maneuver. It is a long-term commitment to balancing interests, mitigating risks, and ensuring that America remains a trusted and strategic partner in every corner of the world. Strategic interests often drive the decisions that global powers make, especially when it comes to alliances and partnerships in volatile regions. When looking at America's support for Pakistan in its complex dynamic with India, it is vital to understand the underlying strategic calculations that guide this policy. America has always been a country that looks years ahead, balancing short-term alliances against long-term goals. Its strategic interests stretch far beyond any one nation and involve its larger ambitions in Asia, the Middle East, and across the globe. Supporting Pakistan is one part of this bigger puzzle. From a strategic perspective, Pakistan holds an incredibly important geographic position that America cannot overlook. Pakistan shares borders with major regional players like China, India, Iran, and Afghanistan. This makes Pakistan an invaluable partner when it comes to American goals of counterterrorism and intelligence gathering in this part of the world. Even as India rises economically and militarily, America cannot simply ignore Pakistan if it hopes to maintain influence across South and Central Asia. Supporting Pakistan is not a betrayal of America's relations with India. It is a careful balance that allows America to maintain a strong foothold across a diverse set of actors. Moreover, America views its support for Pakistan as part of its broader counterterrorism strategy. The region that Pakistan occupies is not only important geopolitically, but also a historical breeding ground for extremism. Since the early 2000s, America has relied on Pakistani intelligence and security agencies in its fight against terrorism. Even as new alliances with India grow, America cannot overlook Pakistan's ongoing role in this critical area. Strategic interests demand that America keeps a close working relationship with Pakistan in order to continue its fight against terror networks and keep this part of the world stable. Without this support and cooperation, America risks losing valuable eyes and ears on the ground. In addition, America's strategic interests involve counterbalancing the influence of other major powers like China and Russia. Pakistan enjoys close ties with both countries, and America knows that leaving Pakistan isolated could drive it deeper into those alliances. By supporting Pakistan even when tensions with India rise, America keeps its channels open. This support prevents Pakistan from becoming fully dependent on these rival powers, ensuring that America continues to have leverage. Strategic interests are never one-dimensional. They are about creating options, preserving influence, and preventing any one region from tipping too far toward America's adversaries. Of course, America also carefully evaluates its alliances with India. But when one looks at strategic interests, the larger picture comes into view. America cannot afford to put all its weight into one partner and close its doors on another. This is why its strategic interests compel America to support Pakistan at key moments despite its increasing relationship with India. The calculus is about balance, supporting one nation to keep the other engaged, mitigating risks by creating multiple partnerships, and holding enough influence to shape outcomes when crises arise. At the heart of this is America's desire for regional stability. Supporting Pakistan allows America to keep tensions from boiling over into open conflict. This is especially important in a region where nuclear-armed neighbors face off. By working with both India and Pakistan, America can serve as a quiet mediator, its strategic interests driven by the desire to prevent any escalation that could upend years of painstaking diplomacy and security arrangements. That is the power of strategic interests. They give America a long-term lens through which to view short-term decisions. By supporting Pakistan, America is not abandoning its partnership with India. Instead, it is preserving its influence across the region so that it can advance its goals of security, counterterrorism, and diplomatic stability. Every move is calculated. Every alliance is nurtured with an understanding that today's decisions will shape tomorrow's landscape. Strategic interests demand that America stays involved on all sides of this complex equation, ensuring its presence and power in one of the most critical regions on the globe. Power dynamics play a profound role in America's decision to support Pakistan, especially when that decision appears to run counter to its expanding partnership with India. These power dynamics reflect a broader and more complex geopolitical game that America is continually playing on the world stage. To truly understand why America is openly supporting Pakistan against India in some cases, one must appreciate the intricate balance of power that shapes its policies. Every strategic move America makes is driven by its desire to hold leverage and influence across different players in the region, and Pakistan is no exception. First and foremost, America has long recognized Pakistan's value as a regional power player in South and Central Asia. Even as India grows economically and militarily, Pakistan still holds significant leverage in certain areas that matter greatly to American interests. Pakistan shares borders with Afghanistan and Iran, two countries that America has historically had deep strategic concerns about. America needs Pakistan as a partner in these borderlands to protect its intelligence, interests, and conduct security operations across a difficult and unpredictable landscape. The power dynamics here involve more than just Pakistan and India. It's about using Pakistan as a counterweight and foothold to shape the balance of power across the entire region. There is also the reality that Pakistan wields substantial military and intelligence capabilities. America knows that if it hopes to influence these capabilities and prevent them from being directed against American interests, it must maintain a cooperative relationship. This is a classic power dynamic at play. America would prefer to have Pakistan close and engaged, even if that means frustrating India at times, than to have Pakistan shut the door entirely and look solely to other global powers like China for support. It's better for America to be part of Pakistan's inner circle than to lose leverage entirely. The calculus is cold but calculated. Proximity to Pakistan keeps America in the room when decisions that matter most are being made. America also sees Pakistan as a key player in the Muslim world. Its historical ties with the Gulf states, its role in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and its nuclear capability make Pakistan a central voice in the broader Islamic community. From America's perspective, these are power dynamics that cannot simply be ignored. Supporting Pakistan allows America to signal that it respects Pakistan's role in these global networks, which can translate into diplomatic leverage elsewhere. The power dynamics extend far beyond South Asia. They stretch into the Middle East, into America's energy and security partnerships, and into its long-term ambitions to remain a dominant influence worldwide. Moreover, supporting Pakistan is also about containing other rising powers, especially China. America is not blind to Pakistan's deep economic and military ties with China through projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC). Even as America nurtures its alliance with India as a counterweight to China in the Indo-Pacific, it cannot allow Pakistan to fully drift into Beijing's orbit. Maintaining a working relationship with Pakistan keeps America in the equation, making sure it can influence Pakistan's decisions and preventing an outright Chinese monopoly over Pakistan's future. The power dynamics are subtle but deliberate, designed to keep America's options open in an increasingly multipolar world. That is why America's actions often seem contradictory to outside observers. America is playing a long, complex game that accounts for all of these overlapping power dynamics. Supporting Pakistan in some instances is not a sign of rejecting India. It is America making sure that it holds influence across all sides of the region. By balancing its support between Pakistan and India, America preserves its ability to mediate disputes, access vital intelligence, and shape the trajectory of one of the most volatile areas in the world. Power dynamics dictate that America cannot put all its eggs into one basket. It must navigate with caution and calculation, making sure that every major player, whether Pakistan, India, or other regional actors, sees America as indispensable. This is not about choosing one side over the other. It's about staying above the fray and using its influence strategically so that America continues to shape outcomes across borders and decades. That is the deep, unspoken reality of America's support for Pakistan, a masterclass in leveraging power dynamics to preserve its own global standing. Foreign policy is the engine that drives America's decision to support Pakistan, even when it seems to conflict with its emerging partnership with India. Foreign policy is never as straightforward as it might appear. It is a carefully constructed web of decisions based on a country's most vital interests at any given moment. America's foreign policy decisions regarding Pakistan and India are part of this larger strategic calculus, one that looks decades into the future and tries to anticipate every outcome before it happens. Supporting Pakistan is not an accident or an impulsive decision. It is a deliberate, nuanced strategy that aims to maintain America's influence across South Asia and beyond. America's foreign policy is grounded in pragmatism. The United States understands that Pakistan holds a geographically significant position. It borders Afghanistan and Iran, sits close to China, and is a nuclear-armed state. Even as America invests in its deepening partnership with India, it cannot afford to alienate Pakistan completely. From counterterrorism to intelligence sharing, Pakistan is an important player in America's broader security landscape. American policymakers recognize that by supporting Pakistan at key moments, they keep the channels of dialogue open and retain some measure of leverage over Pakistan's actions. This is foreign policy at work, balancing relationships, mitigating risks, and preventing any single player from becoming too adversarial. And beyond security, America also looks at its foreign policy through an economic lens. Supporting Pakistan, even cautiously, helps America manage its investments in the region. It is important to remember that Pakistan's partnership with China, especially under the Belt and Road Initiative, has serious implications for America's long-term economic and diplomatic goals. Foreign policy in this context is about creating counterbalances. America will not simply allow Pakistan to move fully into China's sphere of influence without trying to exert some pull of its own. Even modest diplomatic or military support to Pakistan can serve to maintain a seat at the table and ensure that America remains part of any significant economic conversations shaping South Asia. Foreign policy also thrives on flexibility. America's relationship with Pakistan is not fixed in stone. It shifts as global and regional dynamics evolve. Supporting Pakistan is a signal to all countries in the region that America is still a primary power broker, one that cannot be ignored. It sends a message that America is invested in Pakistan's stability and prosperity, and that any major power or regional alliance must take this into account. America is skillfully using its foreign policy to position itself as a partner to both sides, preventing an all or nothing scenario where Pakistan falls too far into the hands of a strategic rival. We also cannot overlook the role of America's historical ties with Pakistan, which stretch back to the Cold War era. Foreign policy has a long memory, and those ties, however complicated, still matter. America views Pakistan as a bridge to the Muslim world and as a partner in counterterrorism. Foreign policy decisions often incorporate this deep reservoir of historical connections, recognizing that the past can influence present realities. Even if America is now more closely aligned with India than ever before, that past cannot simply be ignored. In addition, America is deeply committed to global stability, which requires a measured foreign policy. Supporting Pakistan can help temper regional rivalries and reduce the likelihood of military conflict. America must weigh every decision carefully, knowing that one misstep could escalate tensions between two nuclear-armed neighbors. Foreign policy is the fine art of managing these potential flashpoints before they ignite. By making calibrated moves toward Pakistan, America keeps diplomatic channels active and prevents dangerous isolation. In the end, America's foreign policy toward Pakistan, especially when it comes at odds with India, reflects a careful calculation of long-term interests, historical ties, regional stability, and economic strategy. It is about keeping all doors open and all players engaged. America is pursuing its goals by remaining involved, by shaping perceptions, and by wielding its considerable diplomatic, economic, and military tools as leverage. This is why America supports Pakistan at times to safeguard its strategic future in one of the most complex and important regions on Earth. National sovereignty is one of the most significant concepts that shapes America's decisions in South Asia and around the world. It is the powerful idea that every nation has the right to determine its own future, make its own decisions, and protect its people without outside interference. This idea is the cornerstone of international law and diplomacy, And yet, when it comes to America's involvement in Pakistan and its decisions toward India, national sovereignty becomes a complex and nuanced issue. America often justifies its policies by invoking the principle of respecting national sovereignty. Supporting Pakistan against India is not simply a matter of choosing sides. It is part of America's broader strategy to honor its long-standing commitment to nations that maintain independent decision-making authority, especially those that have been key players in American interests historically. Pakistan, as a sovereign nation with its own elected government, its own military, and its own regional ambitions, cannot simply be brushed aside in America's calculus. Even if America deepens its strategic and economic partnership with India, it must also recognize Pakistan as a legitimate actor on the world stage with its own sovereignty intact. The U.S. is also cautious about being seen as too one-sided. Foreign policy decisions often revolve around upholding the idea that every country deserves a voice and deserves respect for its sovereignty, even if its policies and alliances don't always align with America's. Supporting Pakistan allows America to show that it will not allow one regional power to dominate or suppress the sovereignty of its neighbors. In America's view, Pakistan cannot be ignored without alienating millions of people who are fiercely proud of their own independence. Sovereignty matters because it keeps the balance. It sends a message that America supports a world where even smaller or less powerful nations deserve to make their own choices. National sovereignty also extends to the U.S. desire to manage its alliances without being dictated by India or any other power. Supporting Pakistan reminds the world that America is not beholden to any one partnership. It will always act in its own interests and in respect of every nation's right to autonomy. This strategic balance prevents America from being pulled too far into India's geopolitical orbit and keeps America's hands free to navigate its complex foreign policy landscape. In this sense, America's actions are also about preserving its own sovereignty, the freedom to make its own choices, which includes supporting countries like Pakistan even when India may wish otherwise. Furthermore, respecting Pakistan's sovereignty is also a way of preventing dangerous isolation that could destabilize the region. America is highly aware that an isolated, cornered Pakistan might act unpredictably, especially as a nuclear-armed state. By offering measured support, America reinforces Pakistan's sovereignty in a constructive way and encourages it to act responsibly within the international community. This is also part of America's moral and diplomatic commitment to ensure that all countries feel they have a place at the table, especially in tense geopolitical environments. And from a practical standpoint, supporting Pakistan's sovereignty helps America maintain vital channels of communication, cooperation, and intelligence. Even if Pakistan's policies often clash with America's preferences, America understands that respecting Pakistan's sovereignty is not a choice, it is a necessity. Without Pakistan as an engaged partner, America's larger interests in counter-terrorism, regional security, and economic stability could face serious setbacks. America cannot allow that to happen because it must balance its relations with India, Afghanistan, China, and other nations across South Asia. So when America supports Pakistan, especially in ways that frustrate India, it is often less about taking a side and more about preserving its commitment to national sovereignty, Pakistan's right to chart its path, and America's right to make its own decisions without undue pressure. This is the larger game at play. America supports Pakistan not to spite India, but to make sure that its principles and strategic goals remain intact. Sovereignty is the invisible thread that weaves through America's every move in this region, a reminder that in the world of global power, freedom and self-determination matter for every nation, big or small. Global influence plays a central role in understanding America's decision to openly support Pakistan against India. Every major decision that America takes on the international stage is driven by its desire to maintain its status as the world's most influential power. This is not about a simple favor or an alliance. This is about sustaining influence across all theaters of international politics, especially in a region as strategically important as South Asia. America knows that whoever holds influence in South Asia will have leverage over a region that connects the Middle East, Central Asia, and East Asia, making this one of the most significant geopolitical intersections on Earth. That is why America cannot simply stand by and allow one nation, even a rising power like India, to grow unchecked. Supporting Pakistan is a way of balancing power and ensuring that America's voice is not diminished as India's ambitions grow louder. America knows that when one nation becomes too strong too quickly, it can eventually challenge America's own global influence, and they cannot let that happen. This is not personal, this is strategy. America's leadership on the world stage depends on its ability to shape events across different countries and different regions to play one off the other when needed so that America stays at the center of global decision making. This influence is not only about military strength or diplomatic treaties. It is also about projecting American ideals, values, and interests. Supporting Pakistan against India is part of ensuring that America has enduring relationships with multiple countries, even those who are adversaries to one another. This way, America can set the terms of engagement, bringing these nations to the negotiating table on its terms and continuing to lead major international dialogues. When America engages Pakistan strategically, it preserves its own authority as a world power who cannot be ignored by any party involved. Furthermore, global influence is about more than just one region. America must also send messages to its allies and adversaries all across the world. Every action America takes is watched by other countries, by China, Russia, European powers, and smaller nations across the globe, all interpreting what America's next moves will be. If America is seen as too close to India without maintaining a pragmatic relationship with Pakistan, then other countries will assume America has picked sides permanently. That kind of partiality could undermine America's reputation as a superpower that keeps the global balance intact. Supporting Pakistan, then, is a deliberate signal to the world that America is an independent actor with a diverse set of partnerships and that it cannot be taken for granted. Additionally, global influence stems from America's capacity to manage conflicts before they escalate into full-blown wars. By engaging Pakistan and supporting it in certain contexts, America can maintain leverage that allows it to de-escalate tensions between India and Pakistan if things grow dangerous. That kind of leverage is vital to America's role as a global peacekeeper and mediator, which is one of its most important tools of influence. Countries respect America's word when they know that America speaks to all sides. Influence is not just about taking sides. It is about holding a position that enables you to intervene constructively when necessary. America knows that losing touch with Pakistan would mean losing the capacity to shape South Asian affairs, and that would ripple across America's relationships with the Middle East, China, and beyond. More deeply, America's global influence is about showcasing its ability to do what is right for its national interests, to make decisions that sustain its power for generations. Supporting Pakistan, even when it raises questions, is America's way of demonstrating that it will always make its own choices based on a careful calculation of risks and rewards. Global influence requires that kind of flexibility, the wisdom to hold multiple alliances and navigate a web of complex partnerships. That is why America's moves in South Asia cannot simply be reduced to friendship or dislike for one nation over another. It's about preserving America's capacity to shape events everywhere, keeping its influence alive, dynamic, and respected worldwide.